man, happy Thanksgiving, everybody here. Everybody, happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully your Thanksgiving was as good as mine. Mine was fantastic. The NFL did an A-plus job scheduling 4 division rivals, 3 on Thanksgiving and 1 on Black Friday. I think the NFL did a great job scheduling the games. Unfortunately, none of the games were really, really good, but I think great job scheduling 4 games that have compelling storylines, and just, they weren't good games. So it's okay. Hopefully the Black Friday thing will continue. Gooch, I got the talent in the house, man. It's good to see you too, brother. I'm going to go over what happened on Thanksgiving and Black Friday. If you're not aware, after the Cowboys beat the Commanders earlier today, Ron Rivera fired Jack Del Rio, the defensive coordinator, and I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name, the secondary coach. This is what's commonly called CYA, and that's cover your ass. And basically, you can kind of see that some changes are going to come in Washington sooner than later. I'm going to do a Black Monday show. For those of you who don't know, when the season ends, they don't have Monday Night Football. Usually that Monday, NFL coaches lose their jobs. I never feel bad for an NFL head coach getting fired because those guys are multimillionaires that are going to go on to 6-figure salaries. I feel bad for the assistant coaches you've never heard of. Those guys losing their jobs. That's a difficult adjustment. But an NFL head coach losing their job, I don't feel bad for them. I always feel bad for the assistants, guys that you don't hear. So, oh man, I got Funk in the house. Just hopping on real quick to say, holy shit, golf sucks when the pressure shows up. When the Lions O-line isn't playing elite, it's a wrap for my squad. Funk, it's interesting. I was really worried when they lost to the Bears, or when they beat the Bears, because the Bears fans feel like they just blew that game. I mean, up 26-14. I think it was like 3:40 something left. Lions scored a couple touchdowns. One pride's like, "Hey, this is what good teams do," and I'm like, I don't know. I thought they'd rebound back against a beat up Green Bay team, and I was really disappointed. But instead of just being negative, I want you guys to focus on the positive. I didn't know this, but during the Super Bowl era, this is the best start in Lions history in the Super Bowl era. And I still think the Lions are going to win the NFC North. You're going to host a playoff game. You just didn't win on Thanksgiving. You got a few extra days rest to get things turned around. And I think you guys should focus on the positive. Man, that's a hard job. That's a hard loss. Kudos to the Packers, a team that I thought LaFleur was on the hot seat. I was thinking come draft time, do you go left tackle or you go quarterback? And over the last couple of weeks, Jordan Love's looked pretty good. I've never been a Jordan Love fan, but he's been impressive. It used to be that when you draft a quarterback, you gave him a couple of years, and then unfortunately you got guys like CJ Stroud that come out of the gate hot. People are really, really, really against the quarterback when he doesn't produce right away. Sometimes takes a while, and this may be the case with Jordan Love. Kudos to the Packers this draft. They drafted 3 receivers, 2 tight ends, and I know 2 of them were produced, and both tight ends played. I know Musgrave and Tyler Kroft were both guys I was high on. I kind of thought maybe the Chiefs should have taken a look at both of those guys, but but listen, man, you're still going to win the North. You're going to host a playoff game. So don't jump off the bridge yet. It's funny. I follow a lot of Jacksonville social media. Those guys are jumping off bridges and stuff after the 49ers loss. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? You're still in great shape. Of course, they have a good matchup at Houston. If they lose that game, Houston takes control of the South, but you guys are in good shape. So don't. You had a bad loss. you got some things to adjust, and you have enough talent to win the North. So yeah. Keys, welcome, brother. Hopefully your Thanksgiving was as good as mine. I said back when Lions fans on the channel giving the Chiefs a hard time for not beating the Broncos more in their first matchup. Division rivals are never easy or to be taken for granted. You're right. You're right. I was just kind of surprised, but I did predict the Packers to cover the spread, but I picked. So here's the drill. My games, the 4 games that happened, I'm 3-1. I'm 2-2 against spread. It was kind of weird because I picked the Packers to cover, but I picked the Lions to win. So normally it's unusual to be better against the spread than you are straight up, but that's what it was after the first game. But I thought Washington would keep things closer. That was a disaster. But yeah. The Bears did blow that game. Now the beat up Green Bay thing might have worked in their favor. They had fresh legs while the Lions played 3 games in 11 days. The O-line looked gassed early. Yeah, I mean, it did. I was really disappointed. I really thought they would be more. It's kind of funny because I really thought that this is how week 4, that Thursday night game would play out with Green Bay at home. I really thought Green Bay would play this way and the Lions would play, and instead just flip-flopped. But if you're a Lions fan, don't worry, man. You're going to win the North. You got playoff. Yeah, playoff game. It just makes the NFC a lot more interesting. Case in point, the Rams are 3-1 in the NFC West this season. Yeah, exactly. It's funny because the Rams and Packers all of a sudden making that last wild card spot interesting. Right now it's the Vikings, but they play the Bears, and like you said, division games can go either way. I mean, Justin Fields fresh. He spent a couple weeks, recovering from that thumb injury, and you never know. You just never know. I mean, you got a quarterback cousin who's been with the team for a couple weeks. You got Justin Fields who's coming off an injury. You never know what's going to happen on Monday night. Bears win that game. You got. It's chaotic. Or if Vikings win on Monday night, they still got that 7 seed locked up for now, but it makes the NFC a little more interesting. Yeah. I mean, I thought they were like a 9-10 win team. I think you said, 11, maybe 12. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Funk, but 11-6 NFC North winners. Yeah, that's a good season. That's a good season. Otherwise, maybe I've been too high on the Lions. I liked what they were doing last year because of my preseason NFC pick, and Sirianni has me wanting the Eagles to tie. So what you sent me, so Keith sent me a clip about Sirianni talking a little trash after they beat the Chiefs on Monday night. I didn't put a comment in the thread, but I put a comment on the girl who posted it. I was like, I got no problem at all with Sirianni. Did zero. He wants to talk trash to Chiefs fans after winning on Monday night. I'm 100% for it. 100% for it. No problem with it whatsoever. None whatsoever. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday it's going to be Eagles 49ers. What a great game that's going to be. Yeah. Jason Kelsey's pretty awesome. Perry, what's up, brother? I know you're a little north of the border. I'm curious what you do for Thanksgiving, or if you even celebrate it there, but. Perry, good to see you in the chat, brother. Good to see you in the chat, man, as always. We'll see how the Packers look against Kansas City in a week or so. One game, sometimes even 2-game reactions just aren't worth it. I remember Jordan Love a couple years ago came in the Arrowhead. He didn't look like he belonged on the NFL field. It'll be very interesting. Some of this young talent that they drafted is starting to pan out a little bit. It's kind of like an FU to Rodgers, for years after not really giving him talent. The first year he's gone, they draft 3 receivers and 2 tight ends, and all of them, except for one of those receivers, panned out. Christian Watson had his best game of his season. A talented player, so yeah. I actually did. So it's funny. Normally we have Thanksgiving in the afternoon, and my mom switched it up last minute, wanted everybody to be there at noon. And I complained on Key's show, and Key's is like, "You sound like that spoiled college kid." It's like, "Oh, I got to wake up at noon." But yeah, it was kind of like, what the hell? But May Thanksgiving was fantastic. The game against the Bears, I'm already looking at it as a loss. Bears will be playing for revenge, and Goff has shown he can't throw in the wind. I've never been a Goff guy. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. So I'm stealing this from Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. When you have quarterbacks in the NFL, you have the tractor and then you have the trailer. And what it is that if you're the tractor, you can pull your team to victory. But a lot of quarterbacks, I'd say most of them in the NFL are the trailer, where everything else has to be right. And the one thing about Goff, there's a lot of things I really, really like about Goff, but he looks to be the trailer. Like everything else on the team has to be right. And there's a lot of things about the Lions I like. Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta is still very, very impressive. I love the way Brian Branch plays. That was such a great draft pick. It's funny, I keep looking at the Chargers because in my mock drafts, I kept on saying if Branch was available, that's going to be the Chargers pick. They're starting safety in the Nasir Adderley, retired at 24, retired from the NFL. And I thought the way that they played defense, Brian Branch is fits like a hand in a glove. For whatever reason, they went Quentin Jefferson instead. And I was like, well, wait a minute. You got two good receivers, drafted one who led the team in receiving last year as a third-round rookie. Why are you drafting one in the first round? It just didn't seem like a good move. If you didn't see it, of course, Chiefs fans had zero room to talk, but Quentin Jefferson, of course, dropped the pass late that would have – if he would have kept his feet, he would have scored a touchdown, and they would have won the game. To drop took him out of field goal range, and the Packers went on the win. So my point is Goff is going to be that guy who steadies everything. But the rest of the team has to be on point. And the thing is with the Lions team, the rest of the team is on point. You got weapons on both sides of the ball. You got two really good lines, offensive and defensive line. The Bears game bothered me, but I was really expecting a bounce back. I don't know who you guys play next Sunday off the top of my head. I should know, but I don't. And but I'd be really shocked if the Lions didn't come out firing on all cylinders. I didn't know that. I didn't know October's when. That's kind of cool. He was clearly making out the game to be a Super Bowl 57 proxy. He came off really childish, in my opinion. I think he moved up on Aaron's list of most punchable faces. Yeah, by the way, you had a good show. I really had fun in the comments on the After Hours edition with ladies on. I thought it was a lot of fun. I had no problem with it personally. My squad goes as the O-line goes, and Decker had his worst game in 3 years, and they are missing both guards. I'm not confident in this team. Hopefully the 10 days between games will I'll read some of Perry's comments. I'll get back to the rest of that. Packers draft well. Yeah, they did a good job. He is in a slump. I heard that there were some people. So here's the drill. I got to see most of the Lions Packers. I didn't get to see all of it because I had to go pick up my dad, and then I had to drive my dad. So I spent a lot of that time on the road. But I have no idea. Some of the Lions fans will have to tell me. Some of the Lions fans will have to tell me if Hooker's like at 100% or if he's still recovering. What's going on? Slasher, what's up, brother? That's Slasher in the house. By the way, so a lot of Chiefs fans are mad at Sirianni, kind of talking trash to some Chiefs fans after game. I am not one of them. I don't think Keys likes him well. So the go with Funk's statement. Hopefully the 10 games will keep people from wanting more from J-Mo, but to me, J-Mo is Hakeem, not Holt, and not Bruce, and that's okay, but the fan base wants him. Yeah, okay, so basically they're wanting Jameson Williams to be Isaac Bruce, and he's really not that player. I didn't like the pick. I didn't like trading up. But I will say this, you got Amon-Ra in the 4th round. That's a really good pick. And then you also got another stud in great 16 minutes. And Keys threw me off. I'm going to post this comment. I fucking hate that. Keys posted something that's going to drive me nuts. Laporta. So if you're not familiar with this, it's the meth thing, and this just stayed stuck in my head forever. I cannot get this out of my head. I was like, it just God, I hate Keys. Yeah. If you don't like golf, the problem is who's out there that can realistically replace him and not lose production. This year, nobody, but I will say this, Hendon Hooker's upside is much higher, but can he do the basic things? Can he make the basic progressions? Can he make the basic reads? Because if you look at the Tennessee offense, it's a definite college type offense. Will his game translate to the NFL? You don't know. But I like the fact that you got him in the 3rd round, because this is a guy that you could groom for a couple years, and then you could turn around and you could say, hey, look, golf, if you want too much money or if the production dips, hey, we can go to Hendon Hooker. So ugly loss for the Lions. It happens, but I don't think you can blame everything on Goff, though. He has been turning the ball over a lot, but the defense had Jordan Love looking like prime Peyton Manning. Yeah, Jordan Love looked pretty good against the Chargers, and he looked really good against Green Bay. I was not high on Jordan Love coming out of college. I remember he had a game at Arrowhead. He did not even look like he belonged in the NFL. The last 2 weeks, he looked really, really, really good. And I wonder if it's just him turning the corner. Like I said, it used to be that you could let a quarterback sit for a couple years and it's okay. Now, if you're not good right away, then he's terrible. And keep in mind, he sat on the bench for several years while Aaron Rodgers started. Rodgers wasn't happy about the draft pick. Remember, they traded up a few picks in the 1st round to get Jordan Love. And, but yeah. Yeah, well, it was kind of weird because I was wondering, Slasher said the same thing with Fields the week before. I was kind of wondering if, so in the NFL, everybody's beat up a little bit. So with the thumb injury, you're sitting him down for a couple of weeks. He's got fresh legs, and I know he had 100 yards rushing, and his passing stats were okay. I was just kind of wondering, just getting those fresh legs. But I'm really curious to see how he does on Monday night. It's a primetime game. It's believe it or not, it's a big game for the for the Bears, because they got jobs on the line, including Fields. Fields has to play well, because right now, the way the draft is, the Bears are going to pick 1st and 5th, and there's some good quarterbacks in the draft. So, Fields needs to prove that he's the guy. So, Keys, I have high hopes for Hooker. I just hope the Lions draft position is locked up by week 16 so Hooker can play and see if he's got enough to move Goff. And by the way, it's exactly what Kansas City did. They drafted Mahomes after the playoff position was locked up, second to the last week of the season. He got to play Denver at Mile High, and I think Denver had something to play for. I don't remember. And Mahomes won that game with some other backups, and it was kind of like, hey, Alex, good luck, but we got your backup. And that's kind of what I'm looking at with Hendon Hooker. I had zero problem with it. Yeah. He's like a fan. Andy Reid doesn't do it. Bill Belichick doesn't do it, but I had zero problem with it. There's a lot of fans that just kind of want to look for a reason to be mad. I have no problem with it. No problem at all. The AFC just becomes really interesting because Miami with a win today, they got 8 wins. Baltimore's got 8 wins. Jacksonville is 7-3. Kansas City 7-3. So, I mean, there could be potentially 4 teams that are 8-3 at the end of this week, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have zero problem with it. I think a lot of people are just trying to find reasons to be mad, but all you got to do is look at Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, for months after the Super Bowl, all he did was talk trash. I've always wondered if that's something that kind of rubbed Chiefs brass the wrong way. I don't think it did, but I know he talked trash for a long time. Fans, others want to point out the way Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith for a year as the blueprint for the quarterbacks. Thing is, Patrick Mahomes was already making special plays all season long, year one. One thing you have to understand is that Patrick Mahomes went into the perfect quarterback situation. And here's the drill. Quarterback, more than any other position, needs everything else around you to be good. It needs everything else. And in this situation, one of the smartest things, Patrick, I don't know if he did it on purpose or not, but I remember a couple weeks after he was drafted, it was Travis Kelce, somebody else, and Patrick Mahomes were at Royal Stadium, and Patrick Mahomes was the third most famous person in the picture, which wouldn't happen today. I don't think Patrick Mahomes can go to a baseball game and just sit, not in a box today, but they were just at a game. And I was like, dude, the guy's been with the team for 3 weeks and he makes friends with Travis Kelce. Smart, really smart. I remember Drew Lock was drafted by Denver in the second round. It's not really apples to, it's apples to oranges here. It's not really the same thing. And Joe Flacco famously, said, it's not my job to do anything. Or like Alex Smith put him under his, I can go on and on about this, but Patrick Mahomes will credit Alex Smith for walking him through step by step of what it is. And matter of fact, Patrick Mahomes has said this many times. The first thing he does when he goes into an opposing stadium, he looks for the 40-second clock, and that's something he got directly from Alex Smith. And thanks to Alex Smith being an A-plus human being and taking him under his wing, that's part of the reason. Another part of it is you got Andy Reid, you had Eric Bieniemy, you had Matt Nagy, you had a great coaching staff, and it doesn't also help. It also helps that you have maybe the best, in my opinion, the greatest tight end to ever live, one of the greatest in Travis Kelce. But there's so many things that worked out. You got a situation like Bryce Young in Carolina. It's almost the complete opposite. I mean, they're switching play callers. Frank Wright was calling the plays, and the offensive coordinator. Now it's Frank Wright. They ship away their number one wide receiver. The defense is bad. There's so many things. So, yeah. Alex Smith was a legit quarterback number one. Mahomes simply looked better than him in practice and translated into his first game year one. So unless your rookie quarterback looks better than the starter all year one, no rush to get the starter out by year two. This happened in Cincinnati years ago. John Kitna was the starter and did a pretty good job. He led the Bengals to an 8-8 record. They had Carson Palmer, who was the first pick in the draft. And then like during the offseason, Marvin Jones. Yeah, that's it. Marvin Jones pulls John Kitna in the office like, hey, look, what's going on. Carson Palmer's going to be a starter. And he's like, well, at least I made it tough for you. And he did. John Kitna played really well, but the writing's on the wall. So absolutely. I actually thought he was going to go in the first round anyway, Perry. I really did. He was so impressive when he played. And I was like, you can draft this guy and just next year he's your starter. And I thought it'd be a good move. I think his upside's massive. I'm a big fan of Hendon Hooker. To get him in the third round was just a steal. The problem with Hooker playing this year is he's on the NFI list, and the league has a rule where you can keep the full contract. You can keep the full contract, and guy doesn't play his first year. I didn't know that. McKinnon is out. Max Crosby is doubtful. Colton Miller is questionable. Colton Miller question was a big deal. I know the biggest name on that list is Max Crosby, but Colton Miller, and that may be why I was going to ask, because the line's been favoring Kansas City. I'm going to go over that. The only people I don blame for the loss is the wide receivers. For the Lions game or the Chiefs game, because I know Chiefs fans all believe in the wide receivers' loss. It was kind of funny. A Packers fan commented earlier today. He's like, he saw the clip I had of MVS, and he goes, "Packers fans have been dealing with it. We share your pain." I'm not a fan looking for things to have a reason to be mad about. There's a lot of Chiefs fans that are. I think there's a lot of sports fans that do that. They try to find something to like, oh, look at, you said this, you disrespected me. And so, I mean, that's kind of a fandom type of thing. Hendon Hooker is so similar to Jalen Hurts. Great arm, can extend plays out of pocket, uses legs to get a first down if he has to. He just had a fumbling problem, which hopefully can be fixed. I didn't know he had a fumbling problem. I actually think that there's a chance if he stayed healthy and he looked as – remember, they beat Alabama and he looked better than Bryce Young. I thought maybe if he continued his play he might have won the Heisman. I think they had a couple losses. I think they had one or two losses when he was the quarterback. I'd have to go back and look, but no question he would have been a first-round pick. Where he would have been picked, I don't know, but I think if he was healthy, I'll be honest with you, if he was 100% healthy, there's a chance Colts would have taken Hooker instead of Anthony Richardson. So I'm now keep in mind I'm super high on Hendon Hooker. So another thing similar to Jalen and Hendon is they both play a majority out of the gun. I think we keep on IR for the year. I didn't know that about the NFI list thing, and I wasn't sure what the status was for Hendon Hooker. So it's interesting listening to the two takes, Mahomes and Smith. Mahomes credits Smith. Smith denies actually teaching Pat anything. Alex says Pat just watched and did closely. Kept what Alex did that Pat liked, discarded what he didn't. I heard Patrick Mahomes quote that somewhere, and I know Alex Smith said that. And then I think Patrick Mahomes, when he won MVP, was on one of the talk shows, and he credited Alex Smith, and he brought that up with the play clock, and that was something Alex Smith said. So there is a possibility Patrick Mahomes just watched, but there's definitely a big difference between the way Alex Smith handled a quarterback being drafted and Joe Flacco and a lot of other quarterbacks. I don't care what's public. I don't think Aaron Rodgers really took Jordan Love under his wing. I don't care what either one of them say public. I don't believe that for a minute. So, but it's kind of interesting, different opinions. I'm going to stand by my opinion, and whether it's right or wrong, I'm just going to stand by it. I firmly believe that Alex Smith had a big part in Patrick Mahomes' development. Patrick Mahomes has said that. I think Alex Smith just kind of says that just I think it's kind of his personality and the way he is. And by the way, Alex Smith is great on TV. Alex Smith was a good quarterback, though. He just had, it wasn't really the injuries. In San Francisco, his first 6 years, he had 6 different offensive coordinators, and that was the problem. I don't think Aaron Rodgers would have had a Hall of Fame career if he would have been the first overall pick in San Francisco, because it was just a disaster. And then he comes to Kansas City. Andy Reid was really high on Alex Smith, and they had some really, really good teams and some good chances. But the one thing is that Alex Smith, as best, was the trailer. He wasn't the tractor. I mean, he wasn't a guy that you can just, pull the team to victory. Everything else had to be right. And they had a couple of teams that were really, really good. It's just that Alex Smith wouldn't have gotten the Chiefs past the Patriots. It just wasn't going to happen. Perry nails it. Alex Smith was a solid starter, but Mahomes was a superstar. Yeah. I don't remember Hendon Hooker having an injury problems. I guarantee he did too, and that's something Patrick Mahomes has been adamant by saying. Yeah, unfortunately, Funk had 26. I didn't. Okay, so he didn't start 4 years in Tennessee. He played at Virginia Tech quite a bit. He may have had some fumbling issues. I know that when he played at Tennessee, I don't remember him being a fumbler, but I'm not going to guarantee that. So, I was referring to golf in his tiny hands and how he had just 3. Well, I can certainly understand why fans would be mad at an NFL coach saying, F you to them. Okay, so the clip that you sent me, he didn't say that. He just said like, were you guys talking? Why you so silent? I had no problem with it. I had no problem with it whatsoever. So, Andy Reid wouldn't have done it. Bill Belichick wouldn't have done it. A lot of coaches wouldn't have. There's several coaches that would have. I had no problem with it. I have no problem with it at all. But I understand fans. I had no problem with it. Yeah, he only played 2 years at Tennessee. He was a Virginia Tech transfer. Speaking of Young, how's he doing this year? I haven't watched a ton of Carolina, but I know he got injured early in the season, and I know that they're messing around play calling. Evero, who was the defense coordinator for Denver, came over there. He's done a terrible job. There could be some injuries, players. I don't think he's actually playing that bad, to be honest with you. I mean, they have the worst record in the league, and because they gave their first round draft pick to Chicago, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. No, I'm sorry. I just kind of lost my train of thought. Bottom, I think what I'm saying is that I don't think he's playing bad, but he's not playing as good as CJ Stroud. And there's so many other things that are wrong with that team. Yeah, I don't know because I wasn't there. Slash, I just know what Alex himself said, and that he didn't teach Pat anything. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers treated Love like Love was a family. I don't think that was true. I think he's is being sarcastic there. Andy Reid knew how to develop Mahomes. Yeah, and one thing that I really liked is that he ran one style of offense with Alex Smith, and then when Patrick Mahomes took over, he just changed everything. And then when Tyreek Hill left, they've changed everything. One thing that Andy Reid is really, really good at is coming up with changes and adaptations. It's one of the things that's most frustrating about being a Chiefs fan this year is that it used to be if we were down in the first half, it's like, that's okay. We always make adjustments in the second half. And this year we come out really good. And then the second half, it's just been a disaster. And it's kind of like, what the hell's going on? But I actually really liked McNabb coming out of Syracuse. Syracuse ran this really fun offense. I'm drawing a blank on the head coach's name. It was really creative. It was a combination of option and run and shoot. It was so much fun to watch. I know Marvin Harrison played at Syracuse. I don't know if Harrison and McNabb played it. I'm pretty sure they played together. But Syracuse had this. It was so much fun to watch with McNabb at quarterback, and they had different quarterbacks that had some pretty good success numbers wise. They weren't really a threat to win the national championship or anything, but the offense was so much fun to watch. It was a really weird. It was a combination wishbone run and shoot. It was really, really creative. Oh, you know what? I forgot. So his brother was like on some reality show and said that him and Aaron don't talk. The rumor was his family kept asking him for money, and finally Aaron's like, look, enough's enough, and it's weird because like I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Aaron just kind of, my opinion and things I've heard, I don't think he's particularly close to a lot of people, but It's hard to say. I do know that when he dumped Danica Patrick, she was not a happy camper afterwards. She's like, I'm going to date somebody high value. And it's like, how are you going to do better than Aaron Rodgers? You know, I mean, come on. But my bad. Yeah, he was at, yeah. Fumbles have been a problem. Dan, you get a chance? No, I did not. No, I did not. And I wish I would have. I can, but that particular night, it was just ding, 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 ding. It was just crazy. It was just crazy. It was one of the craziest nights. So no, I kind of, I just kind of, some nights I get some free time and I can kind of play around. Other nights it's just boom, 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 boom. I can go into some detail, but it's not that interesting. You know the deal. I have just 2 words to Ron Bland. If you're not aware, he had an NFL record, I believe 5 pick sixes with his 5th one against Washington. What a great job. So what I've been saying this for a while. I think the NFC has 2 tiers. I think Philly and San Francisco are tier 1. And I think Dallas and Detroit are tier 2. And in my power rankings the last couple of weeks, I've had Dallas just slightly above Detroit, and this is kind of why Dallas has a lot of talent. I'm not sold on McCarthy. I don't trust Dallas in the playoffs. They've been just crazy dominant at home. They've been so on the road. They crushed Carolina, but Carolina's kind of a shit show right now. They probably should have beat Philly on the road. It's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe Danica got weirded out by Aaron using dolphin sex. Jesus Christ. Keys is on fire, but he's making me die. She should be thankful she on from him. A-Rod is a move. A-Rod dumped her, and she was not happy about it. And I'll be honest, if you're Aaron Rodgers, Danica Patrick's a good-looking girl and everything, and the celebrity thing's kind of cool and everything. But if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I probably think to myself, I can do way better. Like, he was dating some supermodels, some actresses, Aaron's definitely more higher value than Danica Patrick. So that's just my I've been the bigger I get, the more and more I want to talk about like men's self-development, and it's kind of something I want to like talk about, because I think men get a bad deal in today's world, and it's kind of hard. It's really hard today for men out there. But like, if you're a guy of Aaron Rodgers' status, you could do a lot better than Danica Patrick. And I know it sounds kind of messed up, because like, if you're a normal guy, like myself, like dating somebody like Danica Patrick would be really cool. But if you're Aaron Rodgers, that's like a 5 or a 6, where, maybe a normal guy would be like an 8 or a 9. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, she's pretty and everything, but I mean, like, I'm not like, of all the people out there, it's like, oh, Danica Patrick, like, I've never been like that, The Cowboy believes too much of their own hype and crash and burn. Are you talking about, the deal here? A little trash talk with the Cowboys. A Cowboys fan should be happy. I mean, Washington fired 2 of their coaches after that game. That was an impressive win, man. That was a very, very impressive win. If you are a Cowboys fan, you should be happy. I actually thought it would be a closer game. I predicted Dallas to win, but Washington to cover. I think it was 10. I didn't bring it up, but yeah, I thought Washington would make it closer. It looked like for a while it was 14-10 with like a minute 30 something. And I was thinking, okay, it's going to be 17-10 because Dallas had 2 timeouts in a minute 30. And they scored in, I think, under a minute. And I was like, this is going to be a long day. I mean, they just went ding, 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 ding. And Washington traded their 2 starting defensive ends. Their 2 tackles really didn't get a lot done. So, yeah, I agree, Perry. We're going to do do a Black Monday show live. One Pride, he's actually at the Penn State Michigan State game, so he's not going to be in the comments today. But he brought up the idea of doing a special Black Monday live stream, and I was like, that sounds a good idea. I've done videos before, but the Black Monday live stream makes a lot of sense. Oh God. It's funny you bring up this, and then, oh God, I still own a Quincy. By the way, I remember Quincy Carter at Georgia, and I love this guy. And I was like, he's going to do some good things. And God, he loves cocaine. It was messed up. Apparently, like it was like the night before a game, he just did a bunch of coke. It was unfreaking believable that how much cocaine that guy loved. I watched him at Georgia. I can't remember what year it was. His final year, he actually didn't have that good of a year. It's like the year before. I thought he was going to win Heisman. I was so impressed. I really liked that dude. And God, Quincy Carter. Oh God, I really like that kid coming out of Georgia. I'm drawing a blank here, because Quincy Carter, I want to say, was right after Stafford. But I may have got the 2 mixed up. May have been Quincy Carter then Stafford, but they're like very close. Because it was after, if I remember correctly, I think it was Quincy Carter after, or I'm sorry, when Quincy Carter left, they had all these quarterbacks, and I remember they were like, there's this freshman out of Dallas with just a howitzer for an arm, and don't be surprised he ends up winning the job. There was like 7 of them, and that freshman was at Matthew Stafford. And yeah. You have a coke problem when you're doing crack off. Quincy Carter was doing blow. It was like the day before. I want to say it was like Friday or Saturday, and he was going to play a game Sunday, and they had to bench him for failing the drug test. It was so messed up. Here you are, you get an opportunity to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, and night before you got to do a bunch of blow. Yeah. But got out of Georgia. I have not said baby yet. I should have said baby when I was drawing a blank on that name, but Dan calls all women baby. Deshaun Watson should take a page out of Dan's book and call all women plaintiff. I will stand by this. Deshaun Watson did nothing wrong. I on your show, I was not going to correct Liz, but Jackson Mahomes did nothing wrong either. That was kind of a bad situation. Look, I don't know if you remember this, the Baylor sex scandal. Art Royals was fired as the head coach of Baylor. He sued Baylor, won $50 million in wrongful termination suit. But when Deion Sanders took over at Jackson State, he hired Art Royals to be his offensive coordinator. I was like, Jesus Christ. Because there was talk about him leaving to coach an NFL team. I mean, he was one of the top coaches, and the sex scandal hit, and he got fired. Jackson State said no. Even though he was, it was, he won $50 million from Baylor in a wrongful termination suit. Name was cleared, no charges, nothing. And Jackson State still said, no, you can't coach here. So like, I really have a problem when men are falsely accused of crimes. It's one thing, and I want to champion men's rights because it's something that's going on more and more, and there's more and more men are being falsely accused of these crimes. Thanks for ruining my joke with a serious diatribe, Dan. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was just stuck on the like. I can't believe I was kind of like, Liz, really? You're gonna accuse Jackson Mahomes of sexual assault, and it wasn't. So I wanted my diatribe there. Yeah, I know. It was a good joke too. It was a good joke. I ruined it. All right. On in the description below, I have my picks video. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, please do. It's a great video. I also have a link to the live stream. I will be doing play-by-play and reaction to Chiefs Raiders all Sunday. So no. So what happened is he was charged, but then he was blackballed anyway. And it's just something that really bugs me. But anyway, yeah. And Ron Rivera is taking over as DC. Yeah. I'm going to go over all the games. I'm going to go over my picks, but I do ask you to watch the video anyway. It's fantastic. And the link to the video plus the link to my live stream are both listed below. Please check them both out. First game up on Sunday is New Orleans at Atlanta. Atlanta opened up as a 1-point home dog. It's now 1.5, meaning that the Saints went from a 1 to a 1.5 point favorite. A little action on the Saints. The reason why a little action's on the Saints because Derek Carr cleared concussion protocol. He's going to start. I'm going to level with you. I picked Atlanta, and I don't really have a logical reason for it. It just I kind of got a feeling that the quarterback confusion is enough. I think the Saints still win the NFC South. I think they're a better team. I'm just picking Atlanta this week. Tell you the truth, I really want to go back and pick the Saints because that was kind of my preseason pick. I really thought the Saints would be a much better team, but they haven't shown it. I think Saints are a much better team than the Falcons. I just picked Atlanta. It just gut feeling. We'll find out. But if you are going to bet on this game, it's probably going to keep going up in Atlanta's favor. This, by the way, the Saints-Falcons rivalry is one of my favorites in the NFL. I absolutely love this rivalry. It's a great, really underrated rivalry. Really great underrated rivalry. I really love this one, and it's going to be a really good game. I'll be honest. If the Saints win, I'm going to be really pissed because I think the Saints are a better team. I just got a weird feeling. When will the NFL crack down on the Saints? They are always over the cap. I really think this year. So the way it works out is they're projected to be something like 80. I think it's 87 million over the cap. This team's going to just self-destruct after this year. They got so many older veterans making a lot of money, and this is the year that they're just going to blow everything up. They're not really over the cap, but the way things are going to next year, it's something insane. They're going to have to cut a lot of players. They're going to have to restructure a lot of things. I think there's a good chance if the Saints don't make the playoffs that Dennis Allen could be replaced. So. They're not over the cap, but it's something like 87 million projected for next year. So that's what they're going to do after this year. It's kind of sad because they were kind of going all in for Drew Brees' last couple of years, and it was just weird. It was just weird. But kind of a shame Brees only won one Super Bowl. They're never over the cap. You have to be under by a certain. Yeah. So here's the deal, Perry. They're projected to be something like 87 million over the cap next year, but they're going to fix that. They have to. They're not over the cap. They're just projected over, just like the Rams are. Actually, the Rams were. I'm not sure if they were. I haven't looked into it. But yeah. Do you keep your head coach if you're going through a rebuild or no if you're the Saints stand? That's a great question. And here's the drill. It's how highly do you think of Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael? Dennis Allen was the defensive coordinator. He's promoted to head coach. Pete Carmichael's been there, I think, like 20 years as the offensive coordinator. That's something you got to think about because if you think that you can keep that core intact and just release a few players, maybe you do keep everything the same. The Saints might also just say, look, let's just clean house completely. I think it's going to be interesting because I think the Saints are going to lose multiple players. I really do. I think you're going to see something like 10 to 12. I mean, there's a lot of teams that add, new starters every year, but I think the Saints could add something like 10 to 12, maybe even like 15 new starters. It's going to be something. I really think it's going to be something crazy. And there's some really good players that are over the age of 30 that they got to move on from. Demario Davis, I think, is going to be 35. He's still a fantastic linebacker. Was it Cam Hayward? I think it's 34, still just dominant, can play in like any defense. The Honey Badger, I don't know his contract situation. He's 31 or 32. Lattimore's making a lot of money. Michael Thomas, that situation though, this sounds messed up because Michael Thomas was arrested. I haven't followed the whole Michael Thomas story, but they'll probably just like move on from him because it's probably some sort of contract clause. So. Yeah. It's something saying it's just something crazy, and they make clean house. There's going to be a lot of changes in the Saints organization. Well, not organization, but on the team. They may clean house. They need to trade as many as possible to get money off the books to get as much draft capital as possible. And I'm really curious what they're planning on doing. I'm really curious what they're planning on doing. I'd be hard pressed to say that they really liked the Derek Carr investment. I would be really hard pressed to say like, oh yeah, we got Derek Carr, we're doing good. I don't think he's really produced. Can you draft a young quarterback? I mean, that's the problem is that like this would be a perfect year for the Saints to draft a quarterback, and then you got former number 1 overall pick Jameis Winston, who I mean, to be honest with you, I'd love to have Winston as a backup, but what do you do? Taysom Hill, his contract's crazy high, and he's a good player, but I mean, that's a guy that's probably going to have to go. I knew I drank too much yesterday when I thought Dolly Parton was looking good in that Cowboys cheer. My mom absolutely loves Dolly Parton, and I think that it was kind of funny. I actually wanted to watch it because my mom's such a fan, and there was 2 or 3 times you could tell that she was lip syncing and it was off. And even though she looked good. I mean, she's like 90. I don't know how fucking old she is, but she didn't look bad in that uniform. But I know she could barely move, and then she had her hand on the and I was wondering if she's like on some drugs. I say that like. I mean, sometimes performers need something to kind of keep their. I mean, in the music industry, Dolly 77, yeah. Sometimes in the music industry, a lot of them are on drugs. Some of it's just for fun. Sometimes they feel like they need them. I mean, it sounds like I'm saying something mean, but I mean. She looked like she was kind of on something. She kept on. I don't know if you noticed, watch it. She was always holding on to that Cowboys. Like she moved and she had her hand on it, and like she kind of. And I also caught that she wasn't singing the whole time. There was like 2 or 3 times. Also, the song selection was kind of weird. Song selection was a little weird, but my mom loves Dolly Parton. Listen, she looked good for. I didn't know she was 77, but yeah. Don't be surprised if there's multiple Saints players that end up in Denver. Don't be surprised. Hey, Gooch, I bet she knows how to cook. So, double gilf. So what they did is the last couple of years, they just kept on going all in to help Breeze. And now it's time to, pay the piper. They got to make multiple moves. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what the Saints do. I can say that about 7 or 8 other teams, but I'm going to kind of circle the Saints because I thought that they would win the South. I'm picking against them. I think they're going to win it, and it kind of sucks because they'll probably end up playing the Cowboys or the Eagles in round 1, and I don't think they're going to win that game. Right about like an hour before the show, I cooked something. I should not cook food. I have Thanksgiving leftovers I'm saving for after the show, but I cooked something before, and my stomach is so mad at me right now. I should not be allowed to cook. Not be allowed to cook. My stomach is really bothering me right now. What teams do you think will fall off going down the stretch? That's a good question. It's going to be I'm going to give you the lamest answer of all time, Perry, but it's the teams that have injury issues. All right. For example, take a look at Buffalo. All right, take a look at Buffalo. They run Josh Allen a lot. Is he going to be able to stay healthy? Diggs is over 30, and Von Miller, I think, is 34. He was injured the first part of the season. So it's really just whoever's healthiest. It's really whoever's healthiest. That's what it is. Don't get me wrong. I love the Joshua Dobbs story, but can he really do something? I mean, just coming onto the team, can they really win with Joshua Dobbs? Is that valid? Is that real? The Michael Thomas getting arrested, Derek Carr in concussion protocol. I think he's going to play, but no, he is. By the way, I'm sorry, he is going to play. But the simple fact that he's in concussion protocol, out of concussion protocol, but. Dolly is Gucci's favorite blonde singer. I don't agree with that at all. Dolly Parton actually looked good. It's just that like she was just holding on to like the star the whole time, and there was like 2 or 3 times she was like the music was singing. She was like, and I was like, and she had that. I mean, you have to realize. I mean, she's been performing for so long, like. She can just probably just go on autopilot, but I kind of got the impression she was like on something, but yeah, Gooch and Dolly. Do I think Steelers? No, God, no. I'd be honest with you. I think Tomlin might be coach of the year. They fired Matt Canada, something they probably should have done sooner. I don't care what anybody says. I really think that it was the upstairs brass that pushed Tomlin to fire Canada. So, what is the most important or must see? God, that's a good one. For me personally, it's Jacksonville at Houston. And the reason why is that if Houston wins, they'll be tied with Jacksonville, but they swept the season series. So Jacksonville, who's had that. I am so sorry. My stomach's doing like 50 different things. It's oh God, this is I need to learn not to cook. From now on, note to myself, I'm not going to cook right before a show because I literally cooked something up I heated up some meat, and it is not. Oh God, it is not agreeing with me. So I have an upset stomach, and I'm drinking coffee. I'm not the brightest bulb in the bunch. For me, it's Jacksonville at Houston. Another thing is that this great season CJ Stroud is having. I mean, he's obviously rookie of the year. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowl quarterback. But the thing is that when I look at the Houston Texans, like, there's not a lot of talent on that team. True story. I just bought a 3-pack from Sam's Club. If I knew before I started doing the show, I would have gone. I'm almost tempted to shut down the show for like 10 minutes, throw up, drink some Pepto, brush my teeth, and come back on. It's that bad. I'm gonna try to keep going, but I may have to end the show early if things continue. But I'm tempted to just shut down for like 10 minutes, throw up. And I used to do that when I was younger. I'd go drinking and then, like, puke and rally. I actually did that. I thought Tomlin was the one who wanted Matt back for quarterback continuity stuff. I think I heard the last time Steelers fight occurred. Yeah, it was something crazy. It's something crazy. I don't care what Tomlin says. I think it came from upstairs. I really think it came from upstairs, and I think it should come sooner. What they're doing. So if I remember right, the running backs coach is calling the plays, and the quarterback coach is the offensive coordinator. It's something really weird. It's something really, really weird. If Pep. So Keys, I drive quite a bit, and a lot of times what I do is, because it's like sometimes I'm in my car, from 10 to 15 hours. A lot of times before I start driving, I chug, a couple shots of Pepto. I drink way too much of that stuff. It's funny because there's a lot of people that think that Kenny Pickett isn't the guy. And in my opinion, I think you absolutely have to stick with Kenny Pickett. I think you got to fix the rest of the problems on that team. I don't like the offensive line. Deontay Thompson or Johnson, I always get the name wrong. I know he's from the MAC school. I think he's okay. I love Pickens. They got to get him involved. Freiermuth spent out. Jalen Warden's fine, but I don't think so. But I know a lot of Steelers fans don't like Kenny Pickett. There was a guy Tuesday who was just adamant in the chat that they should get rid of Pickett. I don't see that at all. I don't. I think you do, but you have to understand when a guy like CJ Stroud comes along and he looks like he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks in football right away. You keep thinking, if you got a guy and Pickett looks nowhere near a top 10 guy, like, oh, you got to move on. I would like to see them get a different offensive coordinator and like use this entire draft on the offense and fix the offensive line. Now, it's kind of funny what they did is they drafted Broderick Jones. They traded up in the draft to get Broderick Jones, and they put him on the bench for most of the season. Now he's playing right tackle. I think this offseason, they're going to move him to the left side. Dan Morse, the left tackle, I think they're just going to trade or cut him. And it wouldn't surprise me if they used the first pick in the draft to draft a right tackle or maybe a guard. And I saw a mock draft with multiple left tackles going. I don't insult mock drafts because I haven't done one yet, but a guy had the Giants taking Joe Alt, and it's like, really? You just drafted Evan Neal, number 7. I didn't like it, but I don't have a mock draft out yet either. So I was playing around with over the cap. Looks like a post June 1st trade of Ramczyk, Lattimore, Cam Jordan, and Derek Carr. Yeah. I wouldn't surprise me if you move on from Cam Jordan, Honey Badger, Demario Davis. I think they'll keep Derek Carr, and I think they keep Lattimore. I know they love Ramczyk, but it might be too much. But Cam Jordan, Honey Badger, Demario Davis, it wouldn't surprise me if you move on from all three of those guys. It wouldn't surprise me. Oh, boy. Next game is New England at New York. New York's a 3.5-point home dog. It stayed the same. I just think that this is a bad game. I don't think people really want to bet on this game. There's been no action change on this. Asking New England to cover 3.5. Trades. Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna do a lot of stuff. It's gonna be very interesting. Saints are kind of the team I'm kind of circling this offseason. So like what I'm going to do is after the season's over, after a Black Monday show, I'm going to kind of go over how I go over the teams and how I break them down after the season. And I might do it before the wild card weekend. I may just wait till after the Super Bowl, but it's a pretty simple system. But I just go through all the teams, go plus minus. The Saints are definitely getting minus just for age, you know. It's probably they're going to do a lot of restructuring. I don't think you can trade all these guys. I will say this: out of all these guys, Lattimore you could probably get number one for Lattimore. There's a lot of Lattimore's a guy that's kind of up and down on. For me, I'm very high, and I think there's a lot of NFL teams that love Lattimore. You can play man, you can play press, you can play zone. He's not afraid to tackle. He's a plus athlete. Really, really good player. Really, really good player. I love him. Kansas City has a bevy of corners, but if Kansas City loses a corner or two this offseason, like L'Jarius Sneed, for example, I would look for a guy like Lattimore, who I think is one of the best corners in football. But, yeah, Lattimore's a guy you could probably trade and get a number one for. You're not getting like a top 15, but there's going to be a team picking in the bottom half of the draft that may want a corner and say, you know, yeah, we'll take Lattimore. I don't think he'll go for a number one, but I think there could be a few teams that would be interested in trading a one for him. Can't really be doing much cutting, restructures, or trades is my guess mostly. That's kind of the Saints are going to be a fun team, but like I said, I'll probably put a minus by the Saints. And the Saints are definitely getting a minus. Let me just put it that way. After free agency, and depending on what happens, then we'll see. But more than likely, that team's going to get minus because it's an older team that's going to lose a lot of players. But that's just kind of part of my system. So, next game, Carolina at Tennessee. Tennessee's a 3.5-point favorite. They're at home. Battle of last year's SEC quarterbacks and Will Levis and Bryce Young. I would be shocked if Tennessee didn't win this one. I don't expect a lot of fireworks with two rookie quarterbacks. I just think Tennessee's just a better team than Carolina. I don't think this game's going to be on in my area, but I really would like to take a look at Bryce Young and Will Levis and see how they're adapting to the NFL. There's some things that Will Levis does I really like. I like his size. I also like the fact that he took a beating at Kentucky, and it really didn't faze him. And he's getting kind of beat up in Tennessee, but I think a lot of it's just him not processing things quickly enough. Bryce Young, I haven't watched enough of him, but I think he's playing okay. I think next year he'll play a lot better. But I'd like to see this one. It's not going to be on in my area. Legit, I don't see a way they can sign him, and the reason being is that he can do so many things that any NFL team would want him. He can play inside, he can play outside, he can play man, he can play zone. God, I might have to take a few minutes off. God. Oh God, I'm never going to cook again. I don't think the Chiefs can afford him. I think he's gonna get. And I think his agent should ask for a he's a 4th round pick. He's not, I don't know what his contract is. He's not making a lot of money this year. He's got a chance for generational wealth with this next contract. And I don't see the Chiefs being able to pay him. If Chris Jones had signed an extension, Snead probably would have gotten tagged. And that'll be interesting. What do you do? Do you tag Chris Jones? Do you tag Snead? It's going to be interesting what Chiefs do this offseason as well. Yeah. I was one of those few people that, as much as I love Chris Jones, I wouldn't have been really surprised if the Chiefs traded Chris Jones. I still wouldn't be. You kind of see the way that they're stockpiling picks. So, if Tennessee coach got fired, do you think he could take over the Pats, or you think Bill Bryant? I keep hearing that Washington wants Belichick to take over, and New England likes Mike Vrabel, and it wouldn't surprise me because Tennessee's kind of a weird franchise. And I also could see them going, you know what, we got a good defense, but we have a young offense. Let's get an offensive-minded coach in here to coach Levis, and we'll go that route. It wouldn't surprise me. Tennessee's a weird franchise. And I think Mike Vrabel's a top 10 NFL coach. I think he's that good. I think he's amazing. He was adamant he didn't want to get rid of A.J. Brown. Him and the general manager don't get along, obviously. When you're public that you want to keep a player, then you trade him. I don't think that he really wanted to draft Levis. I can't prove that. I know he loves Derrick Henry, who's probably going to be gone after this year. So I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me. Seriously, it wouldn't surprise me if a month after the Super Bowl, if Vrabel's the head coach of the Patriots and Bill Belichick's in Washington. It really wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. Yeah. And by the way, Chris Jones, like his market value is still pretty high. I think Kansas City could get quite a bit for him, and they could also not only trade and get quite a bit for him, they could also attack free agency and get like maybe 2 or 3 defensive tackles that are just good players. I mean, I think George Karlaftis is still got room to improve, and he's playing lights out. FAU, we haven't even heard from him pretty much. He's a first-round pick. He's a guy that I think will produce more in year 2. But it wouldn't surprise me if you get rid of Chris Jones and just try to get a couple guys that are just decent starters but not great. A guy like Mike Hanna, who's having a career year, he's a guy that if you keep Jones, he's a guy that would probably almost definitely leave in free agency. I'd love to keep Mike Hanna, but he might be a cap casualty, so – I don't see a 1 and a 3 for Snead, but I could see a 1. And I really don't know. I personally think it's going to be tough because they got to deal with Chris Jones. They got to deal with Snead. I think they really want to try to find a way to sign Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey this offseason. Nick Bolton, who's been injured, they may be able to postpone until next year, but there's several players up. I don't think you would do that. I really don't. But the L'Jarius Snead thing is going to be tough because this is a guy who can do so many different things. But the Chiefs have been planning for it. The Chiefs have drafted a lot of corners. They got some really good guys that are backing up. Trent McDuffie's having a fantastic year. And by the way, Trent McDuffie can do everything Snead can do. He can play inside. He can play outside. He can play zone man. He can do all the same things. In my opinion, I think that what's going to happen is I think Snead will walk in free agency, and I think the Chiefs will try to figure a way to sign Chris Jones, and then they'll lose some other starters on that defensive line. Unfortunately, guys like Mike Hanna. There's somebody else I'm drawing a blank on that could be gone this season on that defensive line too. But that's kind of what I think will happen. Personally, I would love to see the Chiefs keep McDuffie and Snead and just keep adding to that defensive line with young players. I wasn't a fan of FAU when they drafted him. So far, it doesn't look like a good draft pick. But George Karlaftis is a name that you may or may not know of. He's playing lights out, but he's not getting the recognition, but he's playing at a crazy high level. If FAU can play close to that level, you got something really, really good. You got something really, really good. And instead of getting one of the 3 best defensive tackles in the league, when if you get like 2 of the best 20 or 30, you could still have a really great defensive line, but you have some excellent pieces on the outside. And look at the AFC. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers coming back. You have Josh Allen. You have Joe Burrow. You can say what you want, but Tua statistically is having a great year. You got Justin Herbert. I like the idea of having some studs on the outside. Chris Jones is over 30. So it'll be interesting. I gave you a long-winded answer, but first and third, I don't see that. I don't see it, but we'll see. It's going to be an interesting thing because he's a really, really good player, and I think he can go in any system, and I think he's going to ask for a lot of money, and he's going to get it. I'd love it to be by the Chiefs, but I honestly don't think it will be. This is a line I thought would jump a little more. I'm kind of surprised. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Cincinnati opened up as a 1-point home dog. It's now 1.5. And I really thought this would jump up a little higher. I really like Pittsburgh. I lost some money. When I say money, it's just some free bet promotions I got on a couple sites, so I really didn't lose anything out of my pocket, but I'm just mad. I don't care if it's $5 or $500. A loss is a loss. I hate losing money when I place a bet. Note to self, no more cooking before a show ever. This is a game I would bet on. I know I lost on Pittsburgh last week. Jake Browning, young quarterback, making his first start. The last quarterback to win his first game starting against Steelers was Brett Favre. True story. Browning's not the second coming of Brett Favre. I get it, division rivals and everything, but yeah, I really like Pittsburgh. Lost to them last week, so. Tampa Bay at Indianapolis. Indy opened as a 2.5-point favorite, stayed there. I've been hearing a lot of people that like Tampa Bay. I'm kind of surprised about this. Yeah, I know they won last week, but I'm really looking at Indianapolis in the AFC. It's kind of like a sleeper team nobody's talking about, but they got some good players on defense. Jonathan Taylor, when healthy, is, that was 2 years ago, but he was the best running back in football. Here's a dude who's 235 and a Big Ten sprinting champion. I mean, he's got breakaway speed. Doesn't have world-class speed, but he can score from anywhere on the field, and he's 235. You got players at wideout. You got this Jelani Woods guy. He's got all the athleticism in the world as a tight end. I'm kind of surprised people aren't higher on the Colts, but we'll see what happens. I do like the Colts quite a bit here. I really do. I think Tampa Bay's a team. Yeah, I know they won last week, but I think Tampa Bay, they beat Tennessee. Tampa Bay's the team I think sooner or later is going to be hitting the eject button. I think they're going to also lose their head coach. And I think Baker Mayfield's not going to be there long term. I'm going to level with you. If there's any way Todd Bowles keeps his job and Baker Mayfield can take a hometown discount, I would do that, but I don't see either one of those things happening. So. Next, Perry asked what my game of the week is. It's probably Jacksonville at Houston. Houston opened up as a 1.5-point home dog, stayed there. Fun fact, if you watch my video, I put it on there, but Jacksonville's undefeated on the road. They're the only undefeated team on the road this year left. I think it continues. Houston beat them by 20 week 3 in Jacksonville. Jacksonville fans, I've never seen a fan base jump ship faster than the Jacksonville Jaguars, but the fans get back on. And by the way, they would have a 2-game lead in the South if they win. I hope they have this game, but I think they'll probably play Pittsburgh at Cincinnati in my area. We'll see. Next one is Cleveland at Denver. Denver opened up as a 2.5-point favorite. They're now 1.5. I know DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson led the Browns to a victory at home against Pittsburgh. This is going to be a defensive struggle. I do like Denver in this game. I really do. I understand that you won that first one, but I don't see it again. And it's a little different. It's a little different at home than on the road. In Denver's won 5 straight. No, they won 4 straight. If they win this week, it'll be 5 straight. The Colts need to go all in the draft to protect AR-15. So he's got weapons. He's got weapons. I agree though, and what I would do. Here's what I would do if I was the Colts. I would overpay Gardner Minshew. I would give him a big contract and have it staggered like they do with Taysom Hill, where like if he starts at quarterback, he can make big money. But I would overpay Gardner Minshew for the next 3 years. And if Anthony Richardson pans out, when you get ready to pay Anthony Richardson that big contract, then you let Gardner Minshew go. I would keep drafting offensive linemen. He's got weapons, and they have a few holes on defense, but they're actually in pretty good shape overall, to be honest with you. They do have some holes on the offensive line. It'll be interesting to see where they pick in the draft. Depending on where they pick in the draft, it's going to be very interesting. But you're right. I would build that offensive line. But they got talent at receiver, and Jonathan Taylor's really, really good. So I'll be honest with you. I would be shocked if when they draft, unless all the first round caliber linemen, and I saw a mock draft, there was like 6. The mock draft I looked at earlier today, there were 6 offensive tackles gone in the first round. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. We'll talk about it more, but I would be absolutely shocked if the Colts didn't go offensive line in the first round. I would be shocked. Best offensive lineman available, regardless of position. That's what they'll do. I would be shocked at anything else. Next up, Buffalo at Philly. Philly opened up as a 3.5-point favorite. It's now 3. People are betting on Buffalo. People are buying into the firing of the offensive coordinator, and maybe they're buying into Philly. Maybe they're buying into Philly, kind of having a letdown, which I could see. Buffalo has some holes in the offensive line and defensive line. I think Philly is just a really good team. I picked them to cover 3.5, so I like them to cover 3. I think the reason why it's shifted is that people are expecting a letdown. I don't know if they'll get it. I really don't know if they'll get it. I really don't. I think Philly's just a better team than Buffalo. I really do. And it's in Philly. Do I feel good about 3 in the hook? No, I don't. I wouldn't bet at 3. I might, but not 3.5. So the first 4 games, the 3 Thanksgiving games, and the Black Friday game, except for San Francisco and Seattle, I had the team winning, just not covering. Chiefs Raiders is the only Sunday game where I had the winner not covering. And I think Kansas City I think the Raiders cover 9.5. It's jumped up to 10. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm a Chiefs fan, and yeah, I would love to see the Chiefs win by 10. Okay. I would love to see it. I'm telling you right now, I would almost bet money on the Raiders to cover 10. I would almost place that bet. I know you got first-time head coach, rookie quarterback. Max Crosby may or may not play. Colton Miller may or may not play. Chiefs are pretty healthy. I don't think Nick Bolton's going to play, but Drew Tranquil's come in, played pretty well. Chiefs don't like to cover big point spreads. It's 10 points. It's on the road. I really like the Raiders. When I did the video, I messed up. I don't know why. I caught it just earlier today. I said the Chargers were a 3.5-point favorite against Baltimore. The Chargers are at home, but trust me, they're not a 3.5-point favorite. They're a 3.5-point dog, and Baltimore will cover, I think, pretty well. It's good. This is going to be an interesting game because I could see the Chargers, like, if the Chargers go 4-7, there's almost no way that they make the playoffs. This is like a do or die game for them. Baltimore at 8-3 can lose this game and still get the 1 seed. Now they have to hope for some other teams to lose, but Baltimore could afford to lose this game. The Chargers cannot, and they're at home, and it's Sunday, and Baltimore's traveling from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. I would not be surprised if Brandon Staley, if he loses this game badly, if he's fired. I really believe that. And I think it could happen. I think Baltimore will take care of business. I really do. Next up, Monday night, Chicago at Minnesota. Minnesota opened up as a 3.5-point favorite. It's now 3. I get the logic behind that. Especially how tough Chicago played. You got Justin Fields. I think people are realizing it's a great story, but not put action on it. I like Minnesota to win and cover. I know they played well against the Lions a couple weeks ago. I don't think the Bears are a good team. I'm very curious what they're going to do. Remember, they got Carolina's pick, which looks like the number 1 pick in the draft. It'll be very interesting to see what the Bears do in the draft, but that's what I got. Guys, listen, I'm sorry. My body is not doing things right, so I'm going to end the show a little early. In the links below is the live stream, the picks video, plus all my social media. The plan is Tuesday to have Keys in One Pride on. There's a YouTube channel. He emailed me. He asked to come on my show. I originally was going to have him come on Tuesday, but I gave him the option because he does a picks video on Wednesday. I asked him if he wants to come on Friday instead. Some content creators have had issues with coming on the show. Normally I ask them to kind of join the chat and kind of get an idea of what's going on. You may recall earlier in the year, there was a Vikings channel who was going to come on and then he just vanished. So I'm not going to promote that till I get confirmation that he's going to show up either Tuesday or Friday, but ideally we have somebody else coming up this week. I apologize for cutting the show short tonight. Just kind of not feeling all that well. The issue is, here's the problem, Perry. If you're the Bears and you need a quarterback and you have the first pick in the draft, you kind of got to use it. That's the issue. Now, if you're sold on Justin Fields and you have the first pick in the draft, trade it for a king's ransom. But I think Chicago is going to get a new head coach. I think that they're going to want to use that pick on a quarterback. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out. And Perry, listen, man, by the way, all my social media links are listed below. You can send me a friend request. You can send me a message. I'm going to be working all day tomorrow, but tomorrow night, if you have any questions, betting advice, anything at all, just shoot me a DM and I'll be there. But guys, listen, have a great weekend. Don't forget, join the live stream Sunday. I'll be doing play-by-play Chiefs Raiders. It's 3:20 Central Standard Time. So I'll see hopefully all y'all back on Sunday.